A circus theatre and a Gothic towered police station have been named among the buildings most at risk of ruin in England and Wales.
They are part of the Victorian Society's annual list of the top 10 most endangered buildings. Let's speak to the Society's president, who happens to be the comedian Griff Jones, who joins us live on the programme. Good morning to you. Lovely to have you on. And you're not running the marathon this weekend, are you?
No, I wish I was. I must admit that my running days are over, I'm afraid. I'm in need of conservation myself now.
So tell us a bit about the how did you get involved? How did you become the president?
Oh, well, a long time ago, I did a programme called Restoration. And before then, I'd spent far too much of my life restoring the Hackney Empire and raising money for that. And that happened. That's a Victorian building. And so I sort of moved on and became a vice president. And now I am president of the Victorian Society and nobody's impeached me, so I'm all right.
OK, so we normally, talk about sort of, I don't know, endangered species, but endangered buildings, really. Tell us about them.
Well, every year, and for the last 10 years, the Society has called on its members and said, let's nominate the 10, saddest buildings, Victorian buildings, the ones that you love and need help. And these, you might think, well, we're going to see sort of second-rate churches and things like that. And the extraordinary thing about the list, and I've been sort of publicising it and involved in it for the last 5 years, is to say that when they come up, they're enlightening because you see the extraordinary range that the Victorian and Edwardian builders made, but they're also very saddening because these are very important, good buildings that really should be recycled.
And also, Griff, it's important, isn't it, that as we, our landscapes and our towns and our high streets are constantly changing, and the beauty of some of these buildings, it's part of that landscape, isn't it? It's part of the difference between the old and the new, which we can enjoy with the generations to come as well.
Well, we are hearing at the moment a lot about the idea that inner cities have got new threat. Retail is struggling, and it's been struggling for years, and perhaps we're never going to go into them to use them as offices again. Who knows? But the point about that is that if we want our inner cities to thrive, then we need to keep them to be places which are attractive, interesting, fascinating, places that have got character. And there's no doubt that the Victorians and Edwardians sort of had the resources to build, and imagination to build rather extraordinary buildings. Now, in the middle of the 20th century, people didn't like Victorian buildings. They thought they were sort of extremely old-fashioned and tried to tear them down. But I think we recognise now, and especially with some of these buildings, what extraordinary sort of dignified buildings they could build. And they had a sense of self-importance, sometimes rather silly. We have a police station that looks like a sort of Swiss chalet, and we have a brewery in Shepton Mallet that looks like a great sort of Renaissance palace. But at the same time, we don't, funnily enough, have the resources to build these buildings again. And as a result, they add an extraordinary sort of level of character and joy to nearly all the places that you find them.
Yeah, and they're all clearly built to last because they're still here. What about financials? Because obviously, this costs money to keep them going, to care for them, doesn't it?
Well, it does, but some of them, there's no particular reason why they haven't been developed. There's a hospital on the. I was shocked when I first, because I lived right in the centre of town, to find that there were buildings right next to where I lived, which were on endangered list. And here we are. There's one in the Marylebone Road, not really far from where any of us are, and certainly in the middle of central London. It's been empty for 23 years. The Samaritan Hospital. And there's no reason for this decay. The building has extraordinary value. We need flats, we need apartments, and everybody's talking about the need to get people into and recycle buildings, and this building should be used.
And we've had, I don't know if you've seen much of the presidential debate in America overnight, the first one. People might be watching this morning thinking, Griff Jones, Mr. President, I fully support you. I want to help with your campaign. What can they do?
Join us, because the Victorian Society, which was founded by John Betcher, amongst others, has lots of things to offer. It's this year. We haven't been able to do all our regular tours and visits, but it's an extraordinary. I was amazed when I joined it. What a series of sort of events and activities it offers. And if you join us, it makes us powerful. The Victorian Society is a voice. The more we represent, the more we can be heard.
Griff Rhys-Jones, lovely to talk to you. Thank you very much indeed for your time.
Thank you, Mr. President. See you later.
You're watching BBC Breakfast. It's at 8:59.